Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Panic and Cycle podcast. There goes my phone notifications, and we
Hello.
are here for you. So, uh, my name is the EP4. That's just my tag name. My name's Kevin. Amber, say hello, or Pandora.
Hello. Pandora or Panic.
You're still considering
Neither
change?
works with me.
Yeah, Panic, Pandora. But you're still
Hmm?
considering changing your name?
Yeah,
A
I still want to. I have for a long time.
long time. Call me a prude, but I just don't understand changing your name that much. Kevin Williams is something maybe I would like to change, but I just can't do that to myself. I just can't bring myself to
Yeah.
do that. I just don't like my name just because in the fact that it's so common. There's like 80,000 Kevin Williams out there.
Oh yeah. Don't blame me there.
And then again, what would I change it to? Tyrone?
Why Tyrone?
Well, it's a tough name. It sounds tough.
Oh,
Then again, I'm not
well,
tough, and
I guess.
or maybe it's
Sounds
something
more
like
delinquent to me.
just something like Blaze or Rampage. Yeah, that just sounds stupid.
Mm. I don't know. The whole reason I want to change my name is because I've gotten so attached to one for so long that I identify better with than my own name.
That's the thing I'm a little confused about. Like, what made you so detached from Amber and so attached to the second name?
Huh? You blipped out a bit. I didn't hear all of it.
There was a squeaky noise on my mic.
Is that your chair?
Yeah, kind of. What made you so detached from your regular name and so attached to the second name?
I don't know. I just never really connected with my name. I used to kind of really like it for a while because of Jurassic Park.
That's out of left field.
Not really. They talk a lot about Amber, the gem.
Well, yeah, that,
The
but
stone that's not actually a stone, it's sap. But like,
sap.
I
Okay.
was like, fuck yeah, my name's a fossil. That's awesome. And there's bugs in it sometimes, which is also awesome. But then, I don't know, that died off after a while. And then, like, I don't think it had anything to do with it because it never really phased me, but I used to get made fun of and called tree sap and shit.
That's dumb. That's just plain dumb. That's not even creative bullying.
Yeah. I used to also get called Youngin because of my boring ass last name.
That's slightly creative, but I want quality bullying in my bully circle. Quality
As
bullying.
as far as most bullying for me came from, it was a lot harsher, which is why I'm pretty certain that the name ones were unfazing for me, but who knows? It might have still had an effect and I just didn't even realize it.
You're gonna wake up one day and just start crying over it.
That'd be fucking weird. The Youngin one I found to be possibly more offensive just because, well, they didn't know, but I have like a southern background, so
Where did you go to?
saying youngin and then also with the southern accent is just
You don't have a southern
uh
accent. Well, I mean, yeah, you obviously don't, but
don't what?
don't have a southern accent. I thought they were making fun of you for having a southern accent.
No. Sometimes I'll jump out into it, especially if I get passionate sometimes, especially if I also like slip up on my words, I can start sounding kind of southern. Um
Where are you
but I
from?
think it's also because a lot of like not southern people kind of have a very caricature idea of what a southern accent is, even though there's plenty few and far in between when it comes to kinds of Southern accents. Kind of like how people tend to think there's one British accent when there's like 15.
Yeah, that's also true.
Um, the only two that I ever really hear in the media though are like there's no three. There's like the modern, and then there's the prim and proper British accent, and then there's also I think it's called Cockney, which
Oh,
is
isn't that?
kind of like the delinquent poverty accent, at least portrayed in movies and shit. That's
Yeah,
what it
yeah, I
is.
think most people get their ideals from just movies or sketch shows and stuff like that. I never heard the term Cockney applied to Southern. I always heard it applied to British accents.
No, I was saying like those are the three British accents
Oh,
that I
oh,
know of.
sorry. I thought you were talking about Southern. No.
No.
So how much I was paying attention.
The two Southern accents that are probably the most common are, for some reason they blend like the Texas, Georgia, Louisiana, all of that kind of into one for some reason, as far as media goes. And then there's like
Creole.
Creole, which is like Caribbean area and
Caribbean.
also Georgia, which is kind of like it's like British with a touch of French and then slow it down to about 50%. Obviously with different slang, but I mean every accent and culture has its slang, so
Yeah, that's true.
um most of my southern roots are Texan.
Texan. Where are you from again?
My dad's side of the family is Texas, and my mom's side of the family is Alabama.
Are you letting your Southern accent slip right there on purpose, or?
No,
But you were born here, in where we are now.
yes,
Not
I was born here.
that we're about to
My
disclose that.
dad and my mom moved here around high schoolish, I believe. Wait, no. My dad moved around here when he was a little kid, but my mom moved here sometime either around or before high school, if I remember correctly.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Not to display that, but well, we might as well get into a topic. Might as well just find something to talk about to help entertain these folks. That sounds so fake. Why am I saying that?
Do you not remember the topic you
No,
wanted
I
us
have
to
it right
talk
in front of
about?
me.
Oh.
It's just about what was it? How to reach certain audiences, like how a lot of certain manga only reaches out to certain demographics. Because I was just watching a bunch of videos and talking to a few people online about not manga but American comics, just because it's in a if you've been reading the news about it, I'm not sure if you have, Amber, but it's in a really steep decline where people it's I'm gonna put myself in the line of fire here, but there's a lot of SJW stuff going on in the American comic industry. Waiting for the oh god.
Mm,
It's just like stuff about like putting identity politics in comics, making and it leads to bad writing, not good storytelling, not good characterization, the art styles. They hire people just because they are belong to a minority group or they're SJW themselves and blah 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 blah.
well, having agendas kind of sells right now,
Not
so
really. If you
it
look at the
sort of
sales
makes
numbers,
sense.
it's American comics are plummeting because well,
Have you looked at Black Panther?
that's a movie, not a comic.
It came from a comic.
But the comic itself, it's terrible. It's doing terrible, at least.
It was because it had no attention because it was a black comic. But now, because of the movie, a lot of people are actually very aware of it. It's a pretty decent comic, but
Aware of it, but they don't buy it. They might
people
they might
people
buy it.
love it because there's kind of an agenda behind it. I think it's awesome in general. It looks awesome. I haven't seen it yet because it's always fucking sold out, but
It's been a month. It shouldn't be sold out by now.
No, it still gets sold out.
By
There are some
who?
places where people are intentionally buying out tickets. I found out from my friend. She was saying that some people were intentionally buying out tickets so white people couldn't watch it.
I heard that too. I was about to
Yeah,
say.
it's
I also heard like some story about hey, I heard that the movie sold out. Every single white person should give up their tickets.
yeah, I don't know. People are like really fucked up about agendas right now. I definitely think it's a good idea to push these agendas, but I don't think it's a good idea to push them in the way that a lot of people are doing. It's definitely not the entirety of how people are going about these agendas, but it definitely seems to be a lot.
And there's the thing though, like in the comic industry, because I've been watching so many guys talk about this, where the comic industry pushes identity politics and pushes all this sorts of stuff. The people who follow identity politics don't buy comics. They they I mean they do all this stuff. They don't even buy anything. They buy just, well, let me rephrase that. The real people who buy comics are like young boys and teen boys and collectors and guys who actually still like comics even when they're grown up. And
I think 90s kids do. 90s kids are pretty big on comics.
yeah,
And 80s.
young boys, teen boys, and
Not just boys. A lot of girls. But shit, I just recently went and got some comics. I went to
so did I.
the Heroes comic shop in downtown.
Downtown undisclosed city.
Yeah.
Heroes comic shop. I never heard of that one.
I saw a few Black Panther comics there. Most of them were sold out. There was like one sitting there, but it was expensive. And it also looked like it was already like far into the story, so I wasn't gonna pick it up anyway.
Yeah, that's
because I
another
wanted
thing. A
to
lot of
start
comics are
fresh.
chapter stories. If you pick
Yeah.
up a random comic book, that's probably basically jumping into an episode of 24. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah. This one, it's a Sonic Universe comic. I picked it up because even though I didn't know if this was starting off at the beginning or in the middle of a storyline, but it was about a bunch of aquatic Mobians, and I had never seen any before, so I was very intrigued.
Mobians.
Mobians is the name of the species that Sonic and all the other characters are.
Aren't they just...
They're post-apocalyptic mutants.
Oh, I never heard of that. I thought they were just...
No, they're
talking
mutants
animals like any other show.
They're a species that came to be through evolution after I think some kind of like nuclear fallout or some shit. I don't remember. But you can Google around or look on Wikipedia for the canon. It's pretty easy to find. But yeah, there's a whole...
You want me to go down that rabbit hole of Sonic lore?
It's actually kind of interesting. But yeah, there's a whole civilization that lives under the sea. There's the ones that were featured in this comic. There's an otter. Honestly, he looks more like a freshwater otter than a sea otter. But I mean, it's kind of hard to do either. There's an otter. There's some shark ones. There's these indistinguished merfolk. Like they have fins on their head and some interesting tail fins, so I'm not entirely sure what they're supposed to be. And there's like a jellyfish one too, and I think he's a lobster. We already had fucking, oh god, I don't remember his name. Was it Wally? The walrus? We already had the walrus, but walruses spend a lot of time on land, so I didn't see it as all that aquatic compared to the others. All these others are creatures that literally live under the sea, so...
Where did you say you got this from again?
Heroes.
I never heard of it. Like you said, it's a comic store downtown. I didn't think there was a comic store down there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look that up later because I've been collecting a bunch of stuff too.
Yeah, it's in that little nook and cranny area. You know where Moonfire Metaphysical is?
Nope. I think my parents work downtown and I've lived there for most of my life. Apparently I don't know everything about it.
Not that downtown.
Okay, tactfully. You know what? I'll look it up later. Don't worry about it.
This downtown.
What did you just do? Did you just click on something?
I messaged it to you.
Oh. Okay, where was I?
But yeah, other than Wally, I think the only other kind of like aquatic Mobian was Vector. He's a gator, but that's amphibious, not necessarily aquatic.
It's kind of aquatic, and isn't he that guy who is like a mercenary dude who like gives people rides and stuff, or dudes does odd jobs with his gang of friends?
Vector? Yeah, he's part of Team Chaotix.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
With SBO and Charmy the Bee. Charmy the Bee is the most fucking obnoxious character on the planet of the Earth.
Obnoxious, but I have a soft spot for obnoxious. It's part of the fun.
I've made some obnoxious characters before, mostly because I intended on killing them off and ended up falling in love with them. But, like, Charmy Bee is just... I want to stab him.
You and a lot of other people I know.
He's a lot more stomachable in the comics, but in the games, I want to rip his goddamn wings off and shove them down his throat.
Well, part of the reason is his voice. You don't get a voice in comics.
Well, I'm used to some obnoxious, cutesy voices. There's very few that actually grate on my ears.
No, it's one. Well, who was the rabbit with the cream and cheese? Yeah, that voice was an acquired taste.
Cream's voice definitely kind of grates on me every once in a while. She's still kind of sweet and adorable, and I love her mom. So, I don't hate her. Charmy, I can't fucking stand. It's just, Then again, a lot of the newer Knuckles I can't stand either because they just fucking butchered his character and made him basically mentally challenged.
I was gonna say an idiot, but then you took it there.
He's beyond idiocy. I'm pretty sure they just took all the brains out of his fucking skull.
Like he had any to begin with.
He can barely function anymore. He's just like, oh, I punched the thing. Fucking it. It seems like a fucking dumbed down stereotype of Down syndrome. It's literally what he seems like these days, and it just kind of really irks me. Especially because they changed his shape. He's been like the same for forever, and then suddenly they decided to change his shape.
Yeah. You're talking about Sonic Boom, aren't you?
Boom. Yeah, Sonic Boom.
Yeah.
Luckily, they realized the error of their ways and didn't stick to that because everyone was fucking up in arms about it. The only stomachable thing about that game was Amy was actually a decent character for once. There's every once in a while where they do a game where Amy's, written well, but most of the time she's just disgustingly obsessed with Sonic, and that's the entirety of her.
An overly obsessed stalker, yeah.
She'll just be like, I love you, Sonic. I'm gonna stalk you everywhere. And then Sonic's just like, oh, don't come near me. And she's like, I want to have your babies. Fuck me. And he's just like, please no. And that's like the entirety of her character most of the time. But every once in a while...
I kind of have a problem with that. I think there's more to be desired with Amy.
Like, I think out of the more recent games that I've played, the versions of her that I've liked were the one in Sonic Boom because she was an independent character and actually could do shit and didn't really care about Sonic being there most of the time. And then Sonic Racers, because same thing. She just wasn't fucking cutesy and lacking personality and just being obsessed with Sonic. She had her own fucking character in that game. I don't remember her much in Generations, so I can't say anything for that one. She
I
barely
don't
showed
remember.
up, I think.
Yeah, barely.
And then in Forces, she kind of shows up, and she seems to kind of have some character to her, but again, she doesn't show up much. Most of the time, it's just Rouge and people freaking out because, oh my god, Rouge.
It's furry sex appeal.
Boobs.
That's not my word, someone else's.
I mean, at least before it was Knuckles, and they kind of had some character between each other before Knuckles decided to kind of like have puberty issues. But nowadays, Rouge is just kind of used as like a joke, a comedy throwaway of just like, oh, she's thick. How do I act like human around her?
You have a lovely way of putting things.
I guess. I'm not too great with words, so.
No, you're perfect with words.
Usually I just kind of like caveman things.
You're cavemaning it just fine, in my opinion.
Sometimes it makes it more comedic, so sometimes I don't mind.
Sorry, I was thinking about the comic shop you were talking about. I think I've seen it. Whatever, we need to get back on topic. Not like we have topics on this podcast anyways! There's a bunch of ramblings and awkward silence is what it is.
What? Awkward silence is... I don't know. Sometimes there's a lot of rambling, so I don't think the silence is all that bad.
I do. It's
not unprofessional. Like super long.
Well, it's so unprofessional. I rarely hear any sort of silence from other podcasts. They just go. They just speak. They speak the truth.
Well, I don't know. It's easier to do if it's scripted, but like
it's never scripted. I feel
like
what
little pauses here and there. You can easily script something to not seem scripted. I don't know. I don't believe it. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of pauses are pretty nice. They kind of make things seem a bit more genuine.
Well, let's just get back to the actual question that I had.
Yeah.
So as I can just remind myself how to reach certain audiences. It's just that I just want your thoughts and opinions on this because this podcast is basically me interviewing you. And
yeah.
In just some ways, the whole SDW comic book industry thing, they're appealing to people who don't buy comics. People who buy comics are young boys, teen boys, young adults, and I mean they're going to be the most hardcore about it. Young adults and teen boys and stuff like that. And like I've been looking at a lot of analytic videos, and if they want to apply to girls, you got to look at what they like to read, and oddly enough, it's stuff like Bleach, Naruto, Attack on Titan, One Piece. It's
well, yeah, anime is kind of in right now. It's really bizarre to me, considering it was like the most scummiest thing on the earth when I was growing up.
The same here. I realize that too often.
It was worse than American comics.
I wouldn't say that, but these days American comics are not that good either.
No, I mean back then when I was
back then, but American comics these days, I've been checking up on them, and it's not pretty.
Well, we've had them for a long time.
To be fair, I'm not one for the art style of American comics, usually like Marvel and DC. I'm not a fan of their art styles.
They've always been very big on I can talk today. Propaganda.
Oh,
Um,
Captain
they've
America
always
these days? Jesus.
uh, they've always been big on propaganda. I mean, Captain America started with like, punching Hitler in the face.
Yeah, I was about to say. But these days, it's
Um,
basically him punching Trump in the face. I'm serious.
that'd be great. Um,
I'm not kidding.
but
Or at least like a
uh,
Trump-esque dude.
mhm. So I don't really have anything against them having propaganda in their comics. It's kind of always been that way. Uh, I guess SJW is a bit different of a propaganda, but I mean it's still kind of the same thing. You're kind of pushing an agenda,
Pushing an agenda
and
and scaring away the audience is what they're doing. To iterate, like, they, a lot of the people in this SJW thing, you think about, like, they think most of the people who read it are straight white males, and they don't want them to read it. They want to be like, you can't read my art, get out of here.
yeah, but usually they don't get to see who buys it, so um honestly, I don't think that many straight white males read comics anymore. It's usually pretty much everything else that I see buying comics. Um,
I mean, everybody buys comics every once in a while, but
Maybe it's also just because I don't really hang around many straight white males anymore. But out of the majority that I see
I would
in
say
the
can't
comics these
iterate, but I
days,
don't want to get into a thing about that.
I don't really have a thing against straight white males. I mean, I've definitely had a bunch of bad experiences with them, but it's not like I'm
Indicative.
biased. I hang around people that I like that aren't toxic, and that's it. I also don't really like making friends anymore, so it's not like I'm ruling out straight white males. I'm ruling out everyone because I fucking hate everyone.
It's not because of their race, it's just because they happen to be a race and they happen to be dicks.
It's because they happen to be a certain species. The only friends I make are animals now.
Oh, that's a little sad.
Every once in a blue moon, I'll kind of make acquaintances with another human being, but it's usually because I find someone decent to talk to in a gathering that I end up having to go to. And I can either spend it being extremely uncomfortable, or I can end up being extremely uncomfortable and have a decent time. Like, which would I rather suffer?
That's like millennial speak times 9,000 in some people's eyes. It's, oh, social gathering, I'm out.
So many people I know are into fucking parties and drinking and shit, and I'm just kind of like,
I'm not.
I'm good.
So am I.
Most of the people that go to the parties are also people that don't care to talk about what I care to talk about either, so I'm just kind of like, nah, I'm good. I'm not up for dancing or fucking or just talking about bands for like 10 million years
But if someone was there
or the
about
hottest
anime, that would be
movies that have
fine.
been out.
But
They talk about anime every once in a while now in parties and stuff, but usually it's still kind of like stereotype style. And I'm kind of like over that.
well,
Like, I
damn it!
mean,
I,
huh?
I just hit something. Never mind.
Oh. Um, I don't know. A lot of people still tend to group certain animes in together. And I'm just kind of like, how? When that's not even the majority anymore?
And when you say that, they look at you as if you're some sort of snob.
Any kind of anime fan usually has this in common, but the greatest thing about anime is how much variety there is in genres. Like, there's some shit you can't find in any other genre in anime because it's got everything practically. Um, And I love that about it. Anime and manga has always been really great for that. It's why I really like that it's started to give inspiration to other art creators, because it means that even like more Americanized cartoons and comics and stuff, and pretty much anywhere really, because I've seen it from not just American, but other countries as well, where they're getting a lot of inspiration from anime and manga, and it's creating some pretty unique stuff. I mean, this is old news, but look at Code Lyoko. A lot of people thought
You told me about this.
it was like a legit anime, but it's French.
Made by French
Made in
creators.
France.
That was a shock to me too. I wasn't thinking it was anime, but I thought it was, no, maybe it's Canadian. Because half of the cartoons I see these days, they're made in Canada.
Yeah.
So are like the wrestlers and the musicians.
Yeah.
Everything's made in Canada. We don't make anything in America anymore. We might be able to make a comeback with that, but But that's an interesting point in the grand scheme of things with our topic, just how anime can apply to so many views of life. Like, I remember last the anime convention I went to, just like I was chatting with like some of this. I was in. I'm sure you know the local convention that we go to. Amber, you know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah. Sorry, it took me a minute.
No, it's fine. I was like chatting a little bit with the security guards and what they thought of all this, and they thought it was like interesting. Like one guy who was like 60 years old, and we were in the like a booth, like not a booth, a theater, and they were just showcasing some anime, like I think it was like Cutting Edge, like the new stuff. And he said, he kind of wish he had this when he was younger. The guy's like 60 years old. He was actually generally interested. And that applies to, it actually amazes me how some people just grew up in the wrong times and just wish they had this when they were kids.
I know, right? Sometimes,
it just applies to so many people. Like, you can get audiences from anywhere. No matter the age, the race, the gender, you can get it all, really, if you just do it right.
Yeah.
If you do it wrong, bad writing, bad characterization, you're not going to get much.
I also really like that there are people at that age that are like that.
And not just the other guys who go the other way and just trash it.
Yeah. A lot of people will say, like, oh, just pardon him, or whatever. They grew up in a different time. They're too old for this or that. They can't, like, adjust or whatever. There's always excuses people make for the elderly and how, they're allowed to be bigoted about things because they grew up in a different time. And I think that's really stupid, because I've seen plenty of elderly adjust to the times just fine.
Me personally, I give them some leeway because of their times, but you're right, it's kind of stupid. I give leeway too often, if you know me.
I can understand people being kind of stuck in their ways, and some people are definitely incapable of change in general, which has nothing to do with age. They're just incapable of change.
You are speaking from experience?
Yes, and actually it is supposedly the majority of people, and that's exactly why psychology and therapists are a certain way about things when it comes to past friendships and whatnot as well. Because in the majority of times, if you want to revisit a relationship with someone, they're not going to have changed. So it's a risky move. which was why one of my friends was actually advised to not reconnect with me because they thought I would still be bad for their mental state. But
That sounds
they were
cryptic.
wrong. Well, she is a very delicate person, and
A gentle
she allows
snowflake.
herself to worry far too much. So I ended up being toxic on her just because of how my life has been.
Okay.
Because she would know when I was keeping things from her, but telling her would make her fucking get too upset at the same time. Because my life was so hectic and still kind of is. But she has gotten better about things, and so have I. So we actually work out now a lot better.
God damn it, where were we now? Damn.
But yeah, not everyone is capable of change. So that is something I am willing to not exactly excuse, but accept when it comes to humans not being accepting of something, but not as being elderly. Because if anything, that just seems offensive to all elderly that are actually capable of change.
You think that's like few and far between, or do you think that's more common than not?
Uh, from what I've seen with psychology, it is supposedly
That's another thing.
pretty
Like
rare
most
for
of the
someone to be
psychologists I've
capable
seen,
of
they're in their like
change.
40s and 50s. So what would they know about this specific topic?
Well, a master's and a doctorate degree take a
A long
long
ass time. I
time.
know. I'm working on
They
it.
take like 12 years. So
The 40s, 50s, 60s. So me. I mean, and this
it's kind of
specific topic.
expected.
So
Yeah. But yeah. So I don't like the whole stuck in their old ways kind of fucking shit because it's just I feel like it's giving them an excuse. And I don't know. Sometimes I think that the whole reason that someone is incapable of change is because it was excused. Like maybe if they were treated differently for being that way, maybe they'd be more capable of change.
that's another.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
there are some people that I know that I have reconnected with over the years because my leaving them fucking knocked something around in their head enough for them to actually change. It wasn't an immediate change. It wasn't like a snap to it change. It was just you know, it woke them up enough to look into what they were doing and realize the error of their ways, and they slowly developed and changed as a new person, a better person. Um, so I think in some cases, I think social behavior can encourage change in someone that might not be capable otherwise. I think sometimes it's just what's the fucking word I'm looking for here? Enabled. I think we often enable that lack of change in someone.
I mean, there's always. I think the main reason why people enable it is out of fear that they retaliate and try to stick to their old way of thinking, and they probably like get backlash, and then you think, oh, this is a lost cause. I can't. There's no changing this guy.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, I think giving them the time of day in the first place is part of what enables it. Um, Oftentimes when someone changes, it's because you leave. You give up on dealing with that behavior and you just excommunicate. And that's what usually seems to wake them up from experiences and stories that I have heard and had myself. So,
Some that you've told me, and I'm just thinking, wow, how did you put up with that? Hello?
huh?
I'm
Sorry, it sounded like there was more to that story. I just heard wow and that was it.
Oh wow, how did you put up with that? I'm just amazed.
Yeah,
Gotta get up to the mic here.
takes a lot of patience.
Something I get the sense that wearing thin on you a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I learned a lot of my patience was just being passive.
You're talking to the passive king over here, so I know a lot about that.
Yeah, I am a huge pacifist, and I am terrified of people. Um, I am still very much that way, so usually I am very prone to being extremely passive and bend backwards for strangers because I am terrified of them. But with people I'm comfortable with, I can just be myself and not give a shit, which is pretty great. I like being able to just kick back and not give a fuck and just be me. And not be like, what if they don't like me? Or, what if they fucking kill me because they don't like me? Or, what if they hurt me? Or what if they do other things? So,
As much as that's like an exaggeration of the whole, if they don't like me, they'll kill me. That's a very serious thing with anxiety and stuff, like social
oh yeah,
anxiety. It runs through
it
your
fucking,
mind every single time.
yeah.
As
I
irrational
already
as it
have
is, it just happens. We can't control it.
I already have severe anxiety, so that's probably bad enough. But uh, I
Same
live
here.
near some pretty bad neighborhoods that I've already had some pretty dangerous experiences with, which is why I usually avoid them like the plague now. Reasons why I don't use buses or the light rail system. Uh, but between those experiences and my severe anxiety, I have likely cause to be terrified of what I am terrified of, and that only fuels my anxiety because paranoia is bad enough, but if you have reason behind that paranoia, you're fucking done. Because you don't have arguments against that paranoia anymore. Because then you're like, shit, what if it's right? I don't know anymore. That's a good argument. It's just it's difficult. Um I don't really go out anymore alone, but I still go out and hang out with friends at times.
I mean, so do I. I mean, the thing with me is I'm trying to like break out of my shell a little bit, and like as much as I don't like interacting, I like interacting with people, and at the same time I don't like it. It's a little thing of like I get a mix of both, and it's
Yeah. My
at the end of the day I
my
have like this
hubby
big shot persona. Like I just want to be a big shot. Like I want to make friends with everybody, give them the finger guns and whatnot.
Hey. Yeah, my hubby is a lot more social and out and about kind of person, so I kind of struggle with that a little bit. But it's kind of getting me out of my shell a bit. I don't really like being out that much. It's very exhausting, but I think it's kind of helping me be more comfortably me without worrying about violence as much.
Sorry, I didn't mean to snicker.
He's pretty strong, so like I feel safer around him, which is probably why I feel less inclined to like play it safe. But I still kind of do, so I still have probably more work to do, but I also kind of feel like I probably shouldn't change my public self just because it's probably better for my well-being.
As a
I
guy
think
who
people are gonna get less scummy any day soon.
That's another thing with this podcast. We talk over each other all the time just because we don't know when to come in and out.
When to what?
When to come in, when to let the other person speak. We just talk over each other a lot.
Yeah. I think it's just kind of like a natural thing in general. Like, I don't know. I see it a lot, unless it's kind of scripted. Even then, it seems to be common to script people, like, interrupting each other and shit these days.
Yeah.
In movies and whatnot, so I think it's kind of inevitable. And depending on who you are as a person, you're either going to back down in the conversation if someone else speaks up, or you're going to start talking over them, or maybe a little bit of both. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, unless maybe you do, unless you interrupt or talk over people too much. Or do both too much.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. But because
then it just kind of comes off as selfish, but honestly, I think everyone has their quirks, so I don't really care.
At the end of the day, referring to what you said, at the end of the day, I'm a guy who wants to run his own business, wants to run the whole. Today, I want to run a whole bunch of businesses and network them all together. You need to have some sort of charisma for that, and it's kind of like having charisma in a video game, like it's as a stat, like in Fallout or Skyrim or some. I never played Skyrim. I don't care. But even when you're just working or just trying to make friends, you do need a little bit of charisma just to be able to get your foot in the door with them.
Oh yeah, charisma is a big thing. I wish it wasn't. It is definitely a big thing, though.
Shit.
One thing I hate is that some people kind of treat it like it's a natural thing that fucking everyone has or can fake.
I mean, some people do.
I don't think it's a common thing. It's not like common sense, but then again, common sense isn't common anymore either, so.
Oh boy.
Fuck if I know what's going on anymore.
Excuse me. Well, back to the topic. We went on a derailing there. Again.
Man,
shit, what were
we would be wasting so much money if these were actual trains we were derailing and not trains of thought.
We're train wrecks. And I got a one-track mind.
Yup.
But I don't have a one-track mind. I got plenty of tracks.
But yeah, as far as publicity and getting attention for projects and stuff goes, it's easier when pertaining to a certain demographic, but I think a lot of what helps, as obnoxious as a lot of people find it to be, is tags.
Tags? I know what tags are.
Something.
Yeah.
The more tags you put, the more likely it's to be found when someone's looking for something, and you can end up hashtagging a bunch of nonsense that seems not all that necessary to tag something as.
Well, like, at the end of the day, you want to be found.
It has a cat in this one fucking panel of the comic. Let's tag it with cat. Feline. Kitty. Kitten. Tag it with as much as you fucking can, and it gets a lot of attention. A lot of people find it annoying and pointless, but it definitely gets your foot in the door a bit more. Another thing is obviously advertising. People don't really care for ads, but it often still brings the existence.
It leaves it in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the main job of advertising. I learned this from an advertising class. Not an advertising class. What was it? It was an English class, but we were discussing advertising. The main point of advertising is just to put it in the back of your skull. So whenever you like walk by the product, you're like, oh, maybe I should pick that up. I remember it from the commercial.
Yeah. I mean, honestly enough, I think a lot too much is spent on advertising.
Tell that to the Super Bowl.
Even no, the sales lots of times have fucking dropped because of Super Bowl ads. But I mean, most of the time, even when they do well, they don't boost the sales all that much. So like, there's kind of I think that's just spent too much considering the comparison in sales.
But do you think advertising's still good for the small guy?
Yeah, it's good for the small guy,
but not good for guys like Geico
like
or
said,
Coke. They've advertised so much, you think you would know them by now. You would
yeah,
like
pretty much everyone already knows them, so ads aren't going
everyone
to get
knows
much
what Coke is.
budget.
Why do they still advertise?
I just with the jingles, it made sense. Like back in the '90s and '80s, where they had the really catchy jingles. Like a lot of people fucking know what was it? Juicy Fruit, the fucking gum.
Yeah, it was a gum.
They had fucking catchy ass jingles, and the commercials were fucking weird.
Or you know that band that started all those commercials for like freecreditreport.com?
Yeah, it's if you're thinking about credit report shit, it's pretty easy to remember where to fucking do a thing to get your credit score because the jingle's stuck in your fucking head. So for those, it makes sense. But a lot of the commercials these days, like either they don't even really advertise the product well, or they don't have anything to kind of remain in your head anyway. A lot of ads that I think that do well are often food ads because they tend to just kind of advertise it the same way you see food on like Tumblr, which is food porn.
They kind of have to do that. I read something about that too, about how they spend hours upon hours just detailing this one sandwich. Not just one sandwich, they have to get like 10 others, like 10 sandwich stunt doubles just to create the perfect picture.
Often enough, they'll even craft fucking, these fake food that looks like food because it looks better, like out of wax or something else.
Wax.
And just because it looks more appetizing, and
then when it gets to your hand, it looks like nothing in the commercial just doesn't. It doesn't even look appealing anymore.
The only times that I think don't do well for that is if it's like a legit like meal food, like a burger or something, and they're advertising it around like snack hours. Because there is definitely
for some people a burger is a snack.
Majority of time span for eating for people. It's the time spans we know of, that we learn that we grow as we grow up. Like, dinner, lunch, and breakfast have specific kind of time zones for us. So it'd be better to advertise those foods around specific times. Like for burgers and whatnot, it'd be better to advertise around lunch or dinner time. And then for breakfast foods like cereal, it'd be better to advertise around fucking breakfast time.
Or at least at times when you're gonna go shopping for it, where like if you're picking up like groceries, you advertise it around the time someone picks up groceries, like after work, so they can pick up some box of cereal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, luckily for cereal and stuff like that, it's a grocery, so you can advertise for different times. But like especially for restaurants and stuff, it's better to advertise during the times that you would go there. When you're hungry, kind of like how people often, for some reason, decide to go grocery shopping when they're hungry, and they end up buying more because of it.
Yeah, I heard like stories about that. Statistics.
It is a common thing, and I think things kind of encourage people to do that around that time for that same reason. It's kind of why I think a lot of holiday commercials also work so well, because they only advertise them around the holiday when people are going to go shopping for said holiday items.
But these days they are advertising around October.
Yeah, well, for Christmas, they kind of advertise too early these days. But that's because the spirit just kind of gets earlier and earlier every fucking year. I'm already seeing Christmas shit. And it's not even halfway into the year yet, and I kind of want to kill myself.
Hell, there are stores that sell Christmas stuff all year round, so
Oh, those places terrify me.
terrify you. What can be scary about just a guy dressing up as Santa Claus every day of the year? It's a little sad, but it's not terrifying. Let him live his fantasy is what I say.
Yeah, I just don't like Christmas.
You have no Christmas in your heart.
I'm not like bah humbug, but I am definitely sick of it taking over the other holidays because god damn it, Halloween is mine, bitch!
Jesus.
Don't take my fucking Halloween! You can have Turkey Day. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about Turkey Day. It's basically pre-Christmas anyway.
Christmas halftime. Or Christmas pre-show is what it should be.
I mean, like, Christmas is... I feel like a lot of Christmas is kind of the same as what people do at Thanksgiving, except the presents.
I mean, all you do at
And
Thanksgiving
really
is eat a lot
for, like,
and hang out with people
who...
that annoy the hell out of you.
I also feel sorry for people who do, like, Hanukkah or Kwanzaa instead, because, like...
8 days of gifts.
There's not much attention for that whatsoever. No one kind of gives a shit. They just have to have this other holiday breathing down their necks while they're trying to celebrate a different one, and I feel like that kind of sucks, probably. Because, I mean, that's how I feel about Christmas overriding Halloween, so I can only imagine they probably feel somewhat similar.
Like, imagine how many Christmas movies there are, and in comparison, how many Hanukkah movies there are. I can only think of 2. 8 Crazy Nights, which I've never seen, I've just heard of, and was it the Rugrats movie that had, like, Hanukkah-based stuff? Or was
I think it was the Rugrats that had a Hanukkah fucking movie.
Yeah, just those 2. And imagine all the Christmas stuff with Tim Allen in it, alone.
Yeah. I mean, Futurama did Christmas stuff, but they also kind of included Kwanzaa and Hanukkah. Like, they had the Kwanzaa bot and shit in the Christmas stuff. But it was still, like, highly focused on Christmas.
Like, Kwanzaa's just an extra in that movie.
Shit, they paid more attention to Kwanzaa than Hanukkah, which was nice, because Kwanzaa gets less attention than Hanukkah, usually.
I barely even know what Kwanzaa is.
I used to know more about it, because I learned about it when I was a kid, but I have forgotten. My memory ain't that great.
Well, also, at least, what am I trying to say here? What I'm trying to say here is we got off topic again.
Well, sort of. It was part of advertising.
Part of advertising. Well, what does advertising fit into reaching your audience? Why am I asking that? I know the answer to that. I'm an idiot.
It gets your foot in the door. It gets attention. I think over advertising, like a lot of the bigger companies do, kind of hurts your business more than it helps it, especially considering how expensive advertising is.
And do you know how hard advertising is just for this, like, authors and book writers and artists who write graphic novels? Where are you going to get ad space for that? On some random My Little Pony site? And I'm not joking about that. You can rent like a little like banner ad for $25 a month, or is it a month or just permanently? $25 is not a bad
there
deal.
There are a lot of book places you can get advertisement for.
But how many people actually visit them?
Like Audible. I think I've seen ads on Audible before.
And plus, there's always ad block. So by using ad block, you're taking food out of YouTuber creators' mouths.
Well, like I said, people are very fucking sick of ads because of over-advertising. Like, I mean, TV is pretty much like 70% advertisements now because they have to compete with Netflix and whatnot, and they need more, revenue. But
I mean, that's the reason why most TV shows are going on online services, anyways.
Yeah,
the audiences is leaving
because people are sick of ads. Even when people were, watching TV still, they would get up and walk away during the ads because it was like, 5 minutes of show, if even that, and then like 10 minutes of ads, and people were getting sick of it, and they weren't even watching the ads. So, like, what fucking point is there?
Well, the difference is they've already paid up front for the ad space.
Yes, but that works for the television service, but not the people who are buying for the advertisement space in the first place. They're not getting their message out there anymore because people aren't even looking. That's why I think over-advertising is a problem. It works better on the internet because there's just these designated places for ads, and people can look away whenever they want. Or say, like with YouTube, you can set your videos to have advertisements or not, and even then, there's like one at the beginning of the video, or maybe a few short ones in between that are like 30 seconds long, and it's only a single ad each time, instead of like 5 in a row or some shit. People are more willing to watch those ads because there's less of them, and they have more of the content that they want. And then I think there are actual places where people can go to look for ads.
Oh yeah, there's
what they want.
Yeah, there was one of the YouTubers I watched was promoting this thing called Tab. What was it called? I just dropped my phone.
Whoops.
Yeah. What was it? Oh, Tad. It's an app where you can watch ads. That's all you do, watch ads, gain a little bit of revenue from it, and then donate it to a certain person of interest, like a YouTuber or whatnot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's that too. So, like, if you're looking for ads for things that you're trying to find good, reputable stuff for, or if you want to get, help someone out or get some money, you can watch ads and shit. It makes it a lot more welcoming of a thing, and it makes it a lot more likely that people are actually going to pay attention to your ads, and you're going to get your foot in the fucking door in the first place. So advertising is a double-edged sword. It is very useful for getting notice and getting your foot in the door so people actually know you exist, but same right, you can overdo it and make people just not even look your way.
For the record, what I was going for with this topic was how to reach your audience as a creator, as like who's your target audience when you're a creator.
Another thing is when you do have at least somewhat of an audience,
unlike us,
giving back to that audience can really help too. like interacting with them, or something that I often saw on art websites was they would post journals for like raffles and stuff where they'd be like, comment on the journal and you can possibly win some art from me or this character I designed. Or
if you're a gamer or a let's player, you can have
leave a
like a
like or a sub or whatever. Yeah. You can do fun little raffle events or whatever like that.
well, I have a
It's
sub
giving
game
back
night
to
where you
the
get to play with
community.
the person.
Yeah, there's that too. There's plenty of ways that you can give back to the community and also your viewers. And it not only draws more attention to you, but it makes the people that you already have their attention, it makes them want to stay. Because they're like, oh, not only is this kind of a cool thing, but also the person who makes it is really awesome. I want to support this person. I'm gonna read all their things or watch all their things, Like, half the reason a lot of people like Markiplier and his YouTube videos is because of who he is as a person. He's not only a funny, YouTuber, his content's pretty great, but people love him because they get to know him as a person and he cares about his viewers. And shit, he also raises money for charity, and people love someone who actually cares about, helping people out. Charity is another useful thing, but
Just
it's
make
a
sure
lot
that the
harder to
charity
do.
actually gives the money to the people. Like 90% of what I've seen, but they just pocket most of it.
Yeah, there's definitely that, but and a lot of times it's also that they give it to charities that actually just pocket it instead of actually doing things.
That's
It's
what I
one of the
meant.
reasons why I'm really against, or not really against, but just really squeamish
So am I
of
about, yeah,
charities.
very wary and very skeptical of charities. Like, why can't I just give it to the homeless guy?
Like, I even recently found out that one of the most like well-known autism charities is fucked up. People are spreading the word not to fucking support them next month for autism awareness because they're not good. Can't remember their name off the top of my
It's
head.
probably best if
It's
you
probably,
don't.
yeah, I don't need to be tagged for slander, even though I've been seeing it all over the fucking internet.
Hell, I'm probably going to be tagged for signing against SJW, so.
It's a broad term.
They still don't like it.
Pretty much everyone hates some kind of SJW.
You especially. It's in our recent conversations.
Personal reasons.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Shit,
Personal
there's
is an
plenty of
understatement.
SJWs I know that hate certain kinds of SJWs, so I mean, I think it's just, it's inevitable. Just depends on how people view the term. Some people only see SJWs as the people that, parade around as someone who cares about the community and only uses it to, take shit out on people or spread hatred.
Oh
Or
boy.
just, bully people with an agenda.
You think they
That they
get
don't
off to
actually
that?
care about. Maybe. Other people find SJWs to be a term for anyone who actually kind of fights for, equal
Equality.
rights and freedom, which is more generalized considering a lot of people, identify as that and are actually horrible people. I just hate the people that pretend to be those people. Which are what I actually call SJWs. The other people that actually care, I just see as, decent human beings that fight for a cause. A good cause. I think it's good to want to fight for progress, but some people just aren't doing it right.
They fight for
Don't actually care
personal
for progress in
progress
the first place.
or
Yeah.
possibly personal regression. Not personal regression, but progress regression for them, for others, and for others, so they can get ahead while they're down.
Yeah, pretty much.
I get the sense that you could talk about SJWs for like ever. Like that's a whole podcast in of itself.
Probably not. Maybe about personal experiences with, but not necessarily about them entirety.
I mean, I've read. I mean, we could make a podcast about that. I've read stories about, watch videos, read stories about SJWs, and you can talk about the personal issues.
Yeah.
But we're at the end of our hour here. It's 1:10.
Doesn't even feel like it's been an hour.
It has, and I didn't even get my point across.
Yeah, we kind of rambled a lot. It happens.
That's our job with this.
Yeah.
Well, folks, we're at the end of our hour here. It's time to say our goodbyes. Well, you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and what else can you find me on? I guess Facebook, but I don't go on that. Well, all of them are the Savior85. Just look up at the Savior85. Unless you're watching this on Twitch now, because I'm also streaming this, so you already know where to find me.
Mine's pretty much just Twitter and DeviantArt. SEIOKOU. I think Twitter was changed to Pannec Panel. 2 N's with E's and a C.
Well, I believe that's going to be it for us for now. We'll see you in the next one.
Yup. Bye-bye.